Hello, folks. My name is Ricky Harway, talent agent, life coach, motivational speaker, coming to you live, pre-recorded for the very first episode of the That Harway Guy podcast, sponsored by... I left that space there intentionally blank because the show is sponsored by no one as of now, but I want to account for that space in the intro anyway, because I don't want people to start getting mad at me and saying I sold out once I start adding sponsors. So they've always been here, even if they weren't here yet. I named the show what I named the show because I thought that no matter what nifty and creative podcasty name I came up with for it, that people would forget, and then conversationally refer to it anyway as, oh, it's that Harway Guy podcast, right? So I figured it might do well to cut the middleman. Let's just call it what it is, call it what people are going to call it, and I think it's a good name anyway. However, I do want to read you some names from a list of other potential contenders that were under consideration for the name of this podcast. We have Hustle Mode, Harway Mode, building off of Hustle Mode. We have the Ricky Harway Experience. It's a common podcast name format, kind of the host's name experience. The Sigma Symposium. Symposium is a word I just learned today and I feel great about. MILF. Man, I love finance. Not Ones. This one's a little bit of a stretch. I worked backwards from Hot Ones, and I thought to myself, well, let's make a fun inversion, if that's the word, and call it Not Ones. But then I thought to myself, well, Not Ones doesn't sound like a show, but if it was a show, what would it be? And I started thinking about it, and here's what Not Ones would be. I would be the host, and every episode I would have a guest. The guest would come in, and I would put a blindfold on them and put them in front of a table. And on this table is going to be 50 U.S. bills. There are going to be let's say there are 40 single dollar bills, and there are 10, like maybe 20s and 50s in the pile too. So what you have to do, blindfolded, is examine with your fingers. Here's some ASMR sounds for you. Examine with your fingers all 50 of the bills and determine which of them are the ones and which one are not. Because obviously you want to grab the most money. And let's say you're only allowed to grab 10. So you want to make sure you grab the 10, higher number bills. But not ones. But then I realized what I was describing was kind of more of a game show. And this is a podcast, not a game show, so it couldn't be that. We have Big Ricky into the Harwayverse. Big Ricky across the talent agent, life coach, motivational speaker verse. We have Diary of a talent agent, life coach, and motivational speaker. And for those last two, rather than writing out talent agent, life coach, motivational speaker, because it's long in my book, I just abbreviated it to TALCMS, which I realized phonetically kind of looks like talcums, which made me think, man, maybe there's some major potential for some kind of business partnership between myself and the people that make talcum powder. You guys could give me like a sponsored tracksuit with, the white and red, which I think is the color of talcum powder packaging, and put your logo on the tracksuit and I'll wrestle in it and everything. And in return, you guys could put me on your packaging. You could put me on talcum powder packaging. I'll tell you what, I'll even do a photo shoot with your product. And you could put those photos from that photo shoot on your product. So on your product is a photo of me holding a smaller version of your product. And people will be like, wow, Big Ricky's got it. He uses it. I got to use it too. I don't even know what talcum powder is or does, but there's an idea for you. I think it's a working out thing. Talk is Harway. We got Big Ricky sounds off. No, I haven't seen Severance. The last podcast on the Harway. We have, bear with me on this one. Men's holes. Something I want to explore on this podcast is what it's like to be a man, and kind of how we are socialized to repress our emotions and be these big, strong providers. And these big expectations can often leave us kind of with a big void inside of us, with big holes inside of us. And I think I want to explore men's holes on the podcast because they're not explored enough. We have the Harway life. We have this Harway life. We have that Harway life. We have my Harway life. We have By Accident with Ricky Harway. We have okay, this one was almost a lot of fun, but it wound up, I'll explain it. Rickcast. Like Rick short for Ricky, cast short for podcast, the Rickcast. But I realized as I said it out loud more and more that it's just going to be natural as you say it out loud to combine it rather than saying the two words separately instead of Rickcast. You're just going to naturally jump to Rickcast. Oh yeah, it's the Rickcast, Rickcast. And that sounds like you're about to say Rick Astley, the singer of Never Gonna Give You Up. And just for search engine optimization purposes, I can't have that. We have RH from BK802. We have Chasing Gains with Ricky Harway. Something to do with the Harway with. Rickaholic Wrestling. Rick's Feet Under. This one was also a little bit of a stretch. I worked backwards from the phrase 6 feet under, which is where you go when you mess with Ricky. And I said, okay, we could make it Rick's feet under. But then that sounds like, what are my feet under? What are Rick's feet under? And I thought to myself, duh, under the beautiful water at the spa that I go to, where they have little fish and microorganisms that eat the dead skin off of your feet and get rid of your calluses and stuff. Duh. So I thought that version of the podcast, Rick's Feet Under, would be me traveling around my different salons and spas that I go to and kind of showing off my treatments for my feet. But I realized that, again, that's similar to the Not One's idea. That one sounds like more of a vlog than a podcast, and this is just a podcast. We're not doing a video element to this. We have Gut Check with Abbs. This one would be, I'd have to get Abbs in for this to co-host with me. And every week, Abbs and a guest would face off in a competition where they both lay on their backs, bellies up, and have various things placed and smashed upon their abdomen. You know, we could do like Fear Factor and put some live insects on their abdomens. We could smash, say cinder blocks against their abdomens and see who gives up first. And this is going to be something where Abbs, like 999 times out of 100 or out of 1,000, wins because he's got abs of steel. But maybe there's like a big cash prize for the person who can outlast Abbs or something like that. Although I don't know where Abbs and I stand right now. We haven't talked in like a month since we teamed up at 880 Wrestling in Pittsburgh. I think he might be a little upset with me. So when we were strategizing for our match against Deathwatch, he kept on saying, man, I'm going to use the Abby the Ab Roller, and I'm going to hit someone over the head with it, and we're going to steal the win. I'm going to use Abby. I'm going to use Abby the Ab Roller. Going on and on about it. And I finally say, okay, if we're going to do this, we got to do it smart. We got to do it the Harway. So if you're going to use Abby, wait for me. I'll cue you when the moment is right. I'll get up on the apron. I'll do a little song and dance so everyone's distracted by me. Then you can clock someone over the head. We'll steal the win easy. But wait for me. If we're going to do this, wait for me and my superior intuition. I will tell you, I will signal you when it's time. And he doesn't wait for me. He just kind of does it whenever he feels like it. And since the moment was not right, he winds up getting quickly dispatched by Deathwatch. I'm left to deal with them 2-on-1 and we get pinned. Whose fault is that, Abbs? Not mine. Finishing up the list here, we have A Streetcar Named Ricky. I know that one doesn't make much sense. I just like that play. The taco of success drips with the salsa of failure. That's a quote from Danny of Love on the Spectrum. We have The Dark Knight. Night as in nighttime, not like a medieval night like Batman, but I understand even then, phonetically, it sounds too similar to Batman. And last but not least, we have, I kind of like this one, we have the Harway Harem. But then in parentheses, not in a concubine way, in like an animal kingdom, anthropological nature kind of way. So there you have it. Those are some of the names that this podcast was almost given. What do you think? Which one was your favorite? Do you think I made the right decision? Comment below or leave your thoughts in my Instagram at Ricky. No, don't do that. Don't DM me. But that you don't ask for engagement on podcasts, right? That's more of a YouTube video thing because you ask people to like and comment on and subscribe. I guess you kind of ask people to like and subscribe to your podcast too, because most apps, if not YouTube, that podcasts are on have some kind of like and subscribe feature. But I guess you don't ask for comments on a podcast because most of them don't have, or not that I know of at least, like there's not podcast apps with particularly bumping comment sections. So I think it's mostly just a YouTube video thing. Whatever. I hope you like the name, and if you don't, pretend it's named one of the other ones. I have one more segment for you on the pod today. Basically, what's going to happen is we here, live on the spot, are going to research a topic on which I am not very familiar, and we are going to look up some answers to a burning question that I have on my brain this week. And I'm including this because I want to encourage you, the listener, to when you don't know something, when you are curious, when there is information that you don't have, that you wonder about, that you would like to know, just look it up. Don't use ChatGPT. Go on Google, find good websites, even scholarly articles if you have access to that kind of stuff, and find the information that you want, because it's all out there. Anything you could possibly want to learn is on the internet, is on YouTube, is on JSTOR without the E. It's on dinosaurs.net if you want to know something about brontosauruses. I don't know if that's a real website, but there's always whatever you want to learn or learn about or learn to do. It is there for you. You just have to do it, and I want to wake people up to that fact. So today I'm going to be researching the difference between crows and ravens. I know they're both very smart, graceful black birds, but I don't know what separates one from the other. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking up crows on the internet. I'm going to try to find a nice... Here, allaboutbirds.org, and there's a page for the American crow, so let's take a look. American crows are familiar over much of the continent. Large, intelligent, all-black birds with hoarse, cawing voices. They are common in treetops, fields, roadsides, and in habitats ranging from open woods to empty beaches to town centers. They usually feed on the ground and eat almost anything, typically earthworms, insects, and other small animals, seeds, and fruit. Also, garbage, carrion, and chicks they rob from nests. Their flight style is unique, a patient, methodical flapping that is rarely broken up with glides. That's just a very surface-level look into crows from allaboutbirds.org. And when I type in ravens on Google, a bunch of stuff about the football team comes up. Here's a little trick for you. When you're Googling something, say what's happening to me now. If I type ravens and then dash baseball, all is one word, basically minus baseball without the space, then the new search results will omit everything about baseball. Or no, I put baseball, not football. But whatever it is, if you're trying to Google something but info about other stuff is coming up, just write minus the other stuff, and then you won't see it. And here's a page for ravens. The intriguing common raven has accompanied people around the northern hemisphere for centuries, following their wagons, sleds, sleighs, and hunting parties in hopes for a quick meal. Ravens are among the smartest of all birds, gaining a reputation for solving ever more complicated problems invented by ever more creative scientists. These big, sooty birds thrive among humans, and in the lack of beyond, stretching across the sky on easy, flowing wing beats, and filling the empty spaces with an echoing croak. That's interesting. I'm going to look at the two pictures here. And these birds really look exactly alike here. I'm looking at crow, raven. Crow, raven. And they really don't look much different from each other. If you feel like following along, I'm on allaboutbirds.org, American crow overview, and then common raven overview. And these birds both look the exact same to me. I'm going to open up the photo lab here. Okay, so the first picture in each photo gallery is actually quite helpful. It's a profile view of both birds. I'm going to look at their beaks, and if anything, it looks like the common raven might have a slightly longer beak than the American crow, and maybe a bit of a fatter neck, or a wider neck, versus the American crow, which has a bit more of a distinction between neck and head. But I think on average, the American crow just looks a little bit sharper, flip that. The common raven looks a little bit sharper, whereas the American crow feels a bit rounder. And I think that's in kind of the shapes that the feathers make. They both look soft. Here, I'm going to try to find a picture of them with their wings out. Here we go. They both have similar tail shapes, similar wingspans. Okay, you know what? I think I have hit a wall with researching this in the way that I am, so I'm going back to Google and I'm going to search specifically for difference between crow and raven. It's a common search. It comes right up. And I'm going to go on naturemappingfoundation.org, and they have a little section here. So as of naturemappingfoundation.org, ravens have wedge-shaped tails and crows have fan-shaped tails. When you see the bird flying overhead, you look at the shape of the tail, and it looks like a raven's tail comes down in more of kind of a V shape, comes down to more of a point, where the crow's tail is just kind of more rounded. So there's one thing. Yep, so I was onto something about their throats as well. So common ravens have a well-developed ruff of feathers on the throat, whereas the crows have smooth throats. It looks like the raven is also significantly larger than the crow. A raven on average weighs about 40 ounces, while a crow on average is about 20 ounces. I don't know what that is in American, but ravens are less common in urban areas, whereas crows are more, they're not uncommon in urban areas. Ravens have longer necks. Ravens have larger bills, which you can only really see when they fly, it says. Or you can see it better when it flies. I was also on to something about the wings. Ravens have pointed wings, while crows have more of a blunt and splayed wing tip. And ravens also soar more than crows. If you see a crow soaring for more than a few seconds, take another look. It might be a raven. So crows kind of are more consistent flappers. Listen to this. Common ravens can do a somersault in flight and even fly upside down. Well, you know what that means. Now I got to go on YouTube and find a video of a raven doing that. Raven. So I'm typing in raven somersault on YouTube. And it looks like none of these videos are it. There's talking raven, singing raven, but I want to see it do a somersault. I'm getting children on trampolines doing somersaults, but not crows or not ravens. All right, well, I think I've satisfied my curiosity, or at least the amount I had on the topic. I'm happy with that. I think that's all we got for you this week on the That Harway Guy podcast. If you haven't gotten the memo yet, it seems like what this podcast is going to be is me talking about whatever I feel like for however long I feel like talking about it, however often I feel like doing it. I know a lot of people are coming here for the good stuff, and by the good stuff, I mean my insight as a talent agent, life coach, motivational speaker. They want me to talk branding, networking, portfolio diversification, marketing, all these good things. And hey, I'll spill some wisdom on the podcast. I'm such a smart guy, and talking this long, it's going to spill out of me one way or the other a little bit. But if you really want the good stuff, if you really want to tap into my absolute cornucopia of knowledge, of street smarts, of book smarts, of life skills, of how to level up, you got to slide on in my DMs on Instagram or X or even TikTok if you're on there. I'm at Ricky Harway on all social platforms. Hit me up there. We could talk. We could figure out a price that works for you, and we can figure out goals that are realistic, reasonable, and I will help you get there, or your money back. Not really, but I say that because it sounds good. Your money back part is a lie. I get to keep that. Hit me up. We're going to make your dreams come true. And slide in on the, hit me up with the code Ricky Podcast or something. I don't know. And I'll give you maybe even a little bit more of a discount on my already absolutely bar low prices. What else do you have to say at the end of podcasts? I think that's it. So I'll see you next time on the That Harway Guy show. And remember, don't do it the hard way. Do it the hard way.